Hey, peace. What's happening, everyone? What now, deal with?
Recognize royalty. Recognize it. Recognize royalty. Gotta recognize it. Recognize royalty. Like they ain't got eyes to recognize royalty.
I can feel.
Recognize royalty.
I can see.
Recognize royalty.
Now I recognize
Royalty.
royal to these eyes.
Royalty.
I can see.
Recognize royalty.
I can love
Recognize
again.
royalty.
Now I recognize.
I recognize it.
Royalty.
I recognize
Royalty.
passion. Just a man.
Welcome. Remember to like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications. All of that helps. Blessings. Let's get started.
Yeah, I guess, fundamentally, the only point I was making is that, in terms of the slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade, where we can say was initiated as Ankh said, I think, by the Pope's decree in the 15th century, and slavery was going on all through the 15th century, which is the 1400s, all the way up to 1802, right? So most of it, the majority of, let's say 95% of that was before America was established as America, the Constitution and all that. So again, in terms of the slave trade, I think in fairness, we should separate that and say America really had no role in the slave trade. In essence, that its involvement may have been so minimal, if any. Like I said, I would probably guess that whatever slaves were coming in, it wasn't sanctioned by the government. It was just individuals or individual companies doing their trading and bringing people in, even at points illegally as well. And it went on illegally for years. And I think that the government was fighting against it at that point as well. So did slavery happen in America? Sure. And I think we should separate, but that's all I'm trying to suggest, is that we separate slavery, the slavery that happened in America, to the slave trade or the transatlantic slave trade. I think that, in fairness, like, they're two separate things.
Oh man, that was beautiful. Now, y'all can tear his head off and do whatever y'all want. He got his whole point out now. Now, how do y'all want to deal with what he said?
He used one word. You used another word that I didn't like, and that was the word only. Only is a minimizing term. When it comes to slavery, we don't want to minimize nothing. Now, if I sell drugs for 30 years and then I stop selling drugs, and then somebody referred to me as a drug kingpin, 40 years later, like, yo, dude was balling. He was a big time dope boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't be wrong for describing me as that. So, selling slaves, being a part of the transatlantic slave trade for 26 or 30 years or whatever, you know what I'm saying, is still being a part of the transatlantic slave trade. I understand what you're saying, but I just don't like the minimizing term that you use. Use the word only. Go ahead,
No, hold on. What you think about that American Dream? Do you understand this point about using only? Do you agree that can you agree with Corey on his point, or do you disagree with him that you was that connotates kind of minimizing slavery or America's role in slavery when you use the word only?
Right. So I think, if we do the math, right, from like 1444 to 1802 is about, like, my math ain't that good, but it's about, 350 years, right? Let's say 350 years. So, and then then America was involved for 22 out of 350 years, right? And the 22, like to say, and when I say America was involved, all I mean is that I don't mean America was involved. I mean, America was established within those 22 years, but it doesn't necessarily mean the government was the one bringing the slaves in and participating in the slave trade. It could have just been individual American people or individual companies. It wasn't a sanctioned American thing. And that's all I'm suggesting. I'm not sure
I don't
exactly
believe, because I never understood, and I could be wrong, right? I never understood that the government was a part of the slave trade. I always understood that the government benefited off of it. You know what I'm saying? Just like they benefit off of the corner store down the street, right?
Right.
But,
and if you remember,
the slave traders were private business owners.
Absolutely. That's why even to this day, certain shipping companies are being sued.
I'm not taking. I say that not to take the onus off of America. I'm saying they were reaping the benefits throughout, whether it was on the black market or whether it was before it was deemed or abolished or deemed illegal. You know what I'm saying? They always reap the benefits. They still reap the benefits off the dope deal that goes on. Y'all think y'all think the government ain't benefiting off the dime rock that got sold on the corner, but the government benefited off that because you went to go buy baggies, you bought some baking soda. You know what I'm saying? You used some gas to go get it. You got a cell phone and all of that to get your calls on in the car. All that. The United States benefits off of that. You see what I'm saying? So,
but that doesn't make them responsible for it. That doesn't mean you blame them for it. Like I can benefit from a lot of things.
For the 26 years that we talked about, or 22 or whatever the math is, we're gonna blame them for that. We're not gonna put the word only. We're not gonna say they only did it for 20 years.
Before America got independent. Before America became independent, America was a British colony. The British had slave ports in Africa. And they transported slaves from Africa to the America. And in order for you
so the government actually did that. All right. Yeah. See, I was never clear on that. I never really understood that totally social, so I'm glad you clarified that.
It's called the Parliament and the House of Commons. It's basically like you had private companies, right, that were that was contracted from the government. So you would have those companies were called royal companies, right? It'd be like the Royal Dutch Indie, and you know what I mean, or somebody.
Yeah, I think Corey, you gotta mute while Chef talking. That's your mic.
I know that ain't me.
Somebody shit echoing.
Yeah, you gotta mute when he talking. When you talking, it's clear, but when Chef talking, you gotta mute because it's echoing like crazy.
Yeah, but either way you put that wasn't America, right? That either way you put it, that would be Great Britain.
That'd be Britain, not to say
or France or Spain, right?
Spain,
because Spain had colonies that we call states of the United States. France had colonies, that we call the territory now is in the United States, and both of those colonies had slaves in those colonies. And when America took over those territories, they acquired those people in those territories also, right? So it definitely wasn't America. So if that's what you're saying, it was only America for the 20-something odd years that you can say America, that the constitutional government of America.
I think that's where we can all agree at. I think we all are agreeing on that point. My only thing was just the minimizing of it, the minimizing term. That was my only thing, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so can I dive in? I want to get back to where you at, Sosa? You on here, right?
Yeah.
Hey, can I just say one thing before you go to Sosa?
No, I want to go on to Sosa. I want Sosa to read something. I'm great. Dissect what you just messed up. Do you want to compare? You want to add on to you messing up? You can, because when I come, I'm coming hard. I got a good lesson behind everything you said.
Let him continue.
No, it's going to be real quick, I just want to be clear. So from from if we say the slave trade started in 1444, right? From 1444 to 1802 is 358 years, right? From 1776 to 1802 is 28 years, right? 26 or 28. Now 26 years. 26 out of 358 is actually 7%, right? Which is 7 out of 100, right? 7%. So America, so for the whole time so America was established only for, if I'm saying this right, was only there for 7% of the slave trade that happened, the legal slave trade that happened, right? The transatlantic slave trade. So when Corey said I'm trying to minimize it, like if I understand that you don't like the word minimize, but when you think about it, like 7% of the whole, like America was only existed for 7% of the time that the whole slave trading was going on, for 7% of it. And you know what I mean? And if they were involved and did anything to be involved, it would be even less than that. I think most of that 7% had nothing to do with the government of America, right? They weren't involved at all. The government was just in existence. That doesn't mean that they were involved in it. So I know you don't like the word minimize, but we should all agree that 7% is a very small number. And again, the only point I'm making is for us to like, I think we would be kind of, like making believe that America was involved in the slave trade when really it was in existence for only 7% of the whole time.
All right, well, let's do this. 24, right? Let's do 24. Let's do 24 plus, what's that, 65? 89 years. So we can say we can say America had slavery, right? America, the United States of America, dealt in slavery, right? And slavery was legal in America, the United States of America, for 89 years. We can say that. Now in the transatlantic slave trade, they was only involved for around 26 years? Say 26 years, they was in the transatlantic slave trade. But for 89 years, they dealt with the slaves that was here. It was legal, slavery was still legal for 89 years under the Constitution of the United States. So, that you got to deal with that also, American Dream, right?
Absolutely, and I'm not saying I'm not, but I think is that me echoing?
No, it's my turn though. We don't need you to add on.
No, just to say the last thing, I think like when I used to think of America's history with slavery, I used to always think about 400 years, right? So now to think of it as only 89, like 89 is, a much smaller number than 400 years. And so if we're really talking reparations, you're going to have to really reduce that number too, in fairness, right?
No, hold on.
And they're a third. That's damn near a third of the time. I mean,
the reparation argument ain't so top today. I already know
89 years, right? Under slavery, right? Then you had another 100 years, right, from 1865 to around 1972 with the Housing Act, right? We was under Jim Crow. So come on, yo, that's 100.
Can I present my case, please, to get him out of here?
And one thing before you go, you can never forget about redlining. People always forget about redlining, but redlining is the most important thing because housing is how you pass on generational wealth. That is why we in the situation that we in right now, because housing is the number one way to pass on generational wealth. This is why the wealth gap is so big between the average white person and the average black person, right? Because the average white person is in home ownership regardless of whether he in a trailer or not. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
I like when Chef brought that up, but I really want to bring out the point in the redlining, because that is the biggest situation that we found ourselves in right now, still today.
Yeah,
it's going to continue for a couple of
years.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the Homestead Act in 2009. Go ahead. What you trying to get out?
Yeah, but
let me get this out.
We definitely got him at a point where we actually see what he was trying to get at. You see that?
But he talked about the involvement of the United States, and he tried to make it seem as if, right, if they wasn't just grabbing people from Africa, then that's not really slave trade. I've never heard anybody in the annals explain it that way. I've never heard that. So this is what we want to kind of do this right here. We want to start off with a term called artificial selection, right? And from artificial selection, we can just go straight to selective breeding. So can y'all, where you at, Sos? I want you to read this for me. We just a little part. Let's start right here. Let's show how cunning and baffling and destructive the process was, and then we're going to get to the process. But I want to set it up right here. So you see this, Sosa, right? What that say?
Selective breeding.
Can you see it good? Can you see it good?
Yeah.
I remember my point. Yeah, so since you're going to be reading something, right, you can't forget what's written there. So let me say it. Here's my point. You notice how when we talk about slavery, right, like slavery is, it's kind of like the given consensus. We all agree slavery is something that happened to all Black people, right? But then after we're done with slavery and we go into Jim Crow, we also try to make believe that Jim Crow is something that happened to all Black people. It did not. We try to make believe that redlining is something that happened to all Black people. No, it didn't. It happened to a handful of them. So y'all cut it out. Stop trying to equate or lump in redlining, Jim Crow, which happened only in the South, right? Never happened to people in the North, never happened to no Black immigrants that came here like since whenever the Jim Crow laws were
immigrants. There were no Black
immigrants. What is wrong with you, yo? In Baltimore City, yo, they have.
Listen what I'm saying to y'all. Listen to the point I'm making.
All right, you done. I don't want to hear no more. How about that?
All right.
You cut me off. Yeah, because you cut me off. And then you cut me off with a barrage of stupidity. Okay? Like, that's the most ridiculous shit I ever heard in my life. They had white water fountains, Black water fountains, bro, man.
That didn't happen to all Black people. That only happened to Black people in the South.
No, you're lying. In Baltimore, Maryland, man, they had. Man, let me go on my thing. Where you at, Sosa?
Every Black person lived in Baltimore, Maryland. What is the matter with you?
And Black water fountains in Baltimore City. What is wrong with you,
I don't have no ancestors in Baltimore.
Black people could go to
Baltimore. Not all Black people went through Baltimore. What is the matter with you?
You said in the South.
Maryland is the South.
Yeah, but he know what I'm saying.
Yo, no, I don't.
Go all the way to Maine, nigga.
I know what you're saying 5% of the time.
Okay, but you know, come on, man. Nobody looks at Philadelphia, Baltimore, and New York as being a southern city.
Listen to me, Unc. Just listen to the point I'm making. Listen to me, Unc. Listen to me.
How much north you want to go up to Canada?
We said 89 years for slavery,
you're trying to
right?
divert me from my point. Where you at, Sosa? Now I'm on your head. Now, so this gentleman tried to act like that just because we only got slaves, America got slaves from Africa for 83 years or something, whatever the hell he was trying to make, that wasn't nothing. Let me tell you, it's all part of the slave trade. No one separates it but you. So let's get you the most cunning part of the slave trade. Where you at, Sosa? Please read this. Let me set my point up to prove to you how cunning and baffling and disruptive certain processes was. Go ahead, Sosa.
Selective breeding, also called artificial selection, is a process by which humans use animal breeding and plant breeding to selectively develop particular phenotypic traits, characteristics by choosing which typically animal or plant male and females will sexually reproduce and have offspring together.
Stop. It says what? It say animals or plants, males and females will sexually reproduce. It's called selective breeding, like when you choose the individuals that will breed. Keep going.
Domesticated animals are known as breeds, normally bred by a professional breeder, while domesticated plants are known as varieties. Cottages, cultivars, or breeds.
All right, stop. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. Boom, go ahead.
Domestication is a sustained multi-generational relationship in which one group of organisms assumes a significant degree of influence over the reproduction and care of another group to secure a more predictable supply of resources from that second group.
Stop. Y'all got that right? Let's move on. Where we at?
The breeding of enslaved people.
Go ahead.
The breeding of enslaved people in the United States was the practice in slave states of the United States of slave owners to systemically force the reproduction of enslaved
systematically.
Yeah, force the reproduction of enslaved people to increase their profits. It included coerced sexual relations between enslaved men and women or girls, forced pregnancies of enslaved women, and favoring women or young girls who could produce a relatively large number of children. The objective was to increase the number of slaves without incurring the cost of purchase and to fill labor shortages caused by the abolition of the Atlantic slave trade.
Okay, so here's my point. What they really wanted to say, they couldn't say it. They couldn't say, man, this was actually selective breeding. Because if you would say that black people were selectively bred, how horrible is that? I will never forget it. When the dude, he worked for NBC Sports, I believe, and he was the gambler. He's the first bookie, right? What's his name? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? I think his name was, what the fuck was his name? Jimmy the Greek. Now, Jimmy the Greek said that black people were bred to be athletes, to be strong. He said that. He lost his job for that. But it's the truth. And based off what we just read with selective breeding, domestication, right? That's us. We were domesticated. Domestication is a sustained multi-generation relationship in which one organism assumes significant degree of influence over the reproduction and care of another group's to secure what? More predictable supply of resources to form the second group. That's exactly what they did to us. Now, selective reading for y'all. Here you go. American Slave Coast, a history of slave breeding industry. Horrifying. Read the book. Of course, I got it in the library. You can also get the PDF. If y'all go to our server, the Pseudo Killers, right, we're gonna have that in there for you. Watch this. Birth in the Slave, Motherhood, and Medicine in the Antebellum South. It talks about how they took meticulous care to make sure the babies got born, to the point where the Africans were mad at these Europeans because they kept the doctors on them, right? Here you go. Slave breeding, sex, violence, memory of Africa, the African, right? So what this guy is talking about is bananas. The most hideous thing to the slave trade was when it became illegal. I have documents to show you, right? When they knew it was coming to an end, they was already revving up the breeding farms in America. They was already starting to learn how to domesticate. Remember, they were breeders of horses and dogs. So they clearly understood the process. You won't hear nobody else talk about it like this. I'm telling you what it was. I studied evolution, right? So they was taking certain males, right? Larger males, right? That they felt like didn't have as much intelligence, right? And they would breed them with more large, docile males, and they was breeding them with docile females to produce a certain type of individual. This is a fact. So if you was a warrior type of woman, black woman, boy, you was in trouble, right? If you was a warrior that was breaking out fighting, you wasn't getting no nookie. They picked the ones that they felt was safe. They picked the larger individuals, the one that could work large, long hours. They did that, bro. How do I know they did that? Because I just read it to you. They speaking in code to you, right? But in evolution, it's called artificial selection, where humans select breeds that they want to breed. So they selected the type of individuals that they controlled our sexual selection, bro. How devious is that? How cunning is that? How ridiculous is that? How could a person come on a show and act like that was just that ain't really nothing? Come on, dog. Listen, there's slave stories. I actually have accounts, right, of them putting children, right, 12-year-old in barns, naked, for the weekend. I'm gonna say this again, right? I'm gonna read it. Actually had children at the age of reproduction, maybe 13, 12, 13, 14, when they reach the menstrual cycle, right? Males, right? And they put them in a damn barn naked. What the hell you think is gonna happen? Okay, this is cunning and baffling. They talk about the bucks that they took around from plantation to plantation, breeding, forcing sex. This is crazy, man. And for anybody to think that, well, you know, that's a bunch of bullshit. And I'm telling you, man. So once again, our ancestors were selectively breeding by way of artificial selection, right? And they was domesticated. Now, handle that truth. Appreciate you saying everything you had to say true. I always knew you was there with that. But they kind of saved you at the beginning of the show. That's why your name is in the title, bro. Because of those type of things. I don't mind you making a statement, right? But when I hear the mineralization of what the breeding was, they bred us, bro. That's even worse than just snatching a guy from Africa, a woman from Africa. Now you're controlling our sex? That's the worst thing you can do to an organism. That's the worst. Animals, you normally do it to animals, although we understand that evolution, that we are animals, but you never think of it in terms of what happened to us. Boy, I appreciate you diving off the cliff with that one. There you go. So now you know what really happened on those breeding farms. By way of artificial selection, right? You can take horses and domesticate them. How do you think you get racehorses? Racehorses have thinner legs. A racehorse could not survive in the wild. Right? Greyhounds. Right? Chef, I'm gonna get Chef to talk more about this because he fucks with dogs. He understands what I'm saying. Maybe he never applied it to the African, but I am, because that's exactly what happened. Right? So if you can domesticate and force breed a horse, then you can domesticate and force breed a human being. They won't tell you that, though. There you go. Told you I got him. I'm done. Now we understand the complete horrors of what happened after they made it illegal. Go ahead, Stokes. Y'all want to add something to this? Where you at, Chef? Because I know you know about dogs all day long.
Oh,
well, everybody on the fade.
No, go ahead, Sosa.
No, I said everybody on Fade to Black. No, I was about to jump in the chat and see what the hell going.
Oh, the chat going ham. They loved what Uncle was just saying. Go ahead, American Drain.
I wouldn't even look at the chat. I would have jumped in the chat.
I mean, you know, not Chef. Ankh is in a position where this dude just like gets the opportunity to speak for like a half an hour and nobody cuts in. You know what I mean? But I'm here like, does he really deserve that?
Hey, bro, that wasn't on. Yeah, nigga, it's my shit, nigga. Damn right I deserve to do that. And I came with sources, and it didn't take a fucking half an hour, and you cut me off. Now you got me hot. Now, disprove what I just said. And we got pseudos in the damn chat room talking about that was pseudo. Hey, Chef, can you domesticate a dog, yo? Can you select a dog for certain traits? Yes or no?
I'm not sure why I have to disprove what you said, because I'm not sure what you said had to
not
do
even
with what I
talking to you
said.
no more. You don't even matter. I'm talking to Chef. You're done.
I'm not sure what you said had anything
Everybody
to
got
do
the
with what I
message.
said.
You try to minimize the United States and they roll in slavery. So I gave the most baffling part of the slave trade. That's when it became illegal and they started to breed us. Now,
I said there was a difference between the slave trade and slavery. I said we should make that distinction.
No, it's not. It was the slave trade that got the people over here, bro.
And then you went on to say how bad slavery was. I said there's a difference between the slave trade and slavery in America. And then you went on to speak about how bad slavery was.
They did not trade slaves in America, bro? Are you trying to say that they did not have a market in New York City? The first items traded on the stock market, bro, was black people. I went to the site in New York. It's called Wall Street, bro.
We're talking about the Atlantic slave trade. That's not the Atlantic slave trade.
They traded slaves. They're trading slaves, bro. They sold and traded slaves in North America, bro. What in the hell are you talking about?
They traded
slave markets in America. They traded slaves for goods and products in America, bro. It does not have to be an international trade. You can trade within America.
There were slave markets in Africa. There were slave markets in Europe. There were slave markets.
So you hear what I'm saying? I ain't man. When you say that, then you know what I'm saying. Now, then you know what I'm saying. I know
what you're saying, but what I'm saying is what you're saying doesn't disprove anything that I'm saying.
Man, no one separates it but you. No one separates the actual grabbing of bodies from Africa with the actual keeping of bodies in different countries. You're the only one that does that, bro.
Let me jump in. And this is why he did it. He did it to try to speak on reparations, right? He wanted the timeline to reflect, you know what I mean, the overall, you know how we say 400 years of slavery. You know, America owed us.
No, it wasn't 400 years. That's wrong.
Right. But that he mentioned that, to be fair to
him.
That's
not real.
Right.
That's not real.
Right. So when you mention 400 years of slavery,
that's
right.
That's
he then went to, when everybody gave him the timeline, he said, all right, well, from 1776, right, to 1865, no, he said from 1776 to 1802. That was the transatlantic slave trade. I then pushed it up. Okay, that's the transatlantic slave trade. So it was only 20-something years that America dealt with the transatlantic slave trade, right? And it wasn't America that outlawed the transatlantic slave trade. American Dream. Actually, Britain did it. So America would have been still, you know, shipping bodies directly from Africa to America if it wasn't for the British, right? So that's the point that you gotta acknowledge that point. You understand what I'm saying, American Dream?
Yeah, I understand, but would you agree that it's a fair statement?
And then they fought a whole war over that shit. For the record, bro, they fought a whole war over slavery in North America, for the record.
Chef, would you agree that it's a fair statement to say Americans participated
in the transatlantic slave trade?
In whatever it wasn't America that was participating. There were Americans mentioned by the American government.
Yeah, all right, so let's deal with the American government, right? That's my point. What happened to us extended past the transatlantic trade. You get that, right?
Sure.
All right. So when you mention reparations, right? Aside from the transatlantic slave trade that America only participated 20-something years in, right? I agree with you, right? But America didn't abolish slavery, right, to 1865. So there was still a sale of black people up and down the Atlantic coast. You get that, right?
right.
With the blacks that was
Correct.
that. All right, so now you have 89 years, right, of slavery in the United States. You with me so far?
That doesn't mean the fact that, but the fact that America did not outlaw it doesn't mean that the American government itself was going out buying slaves.
No.
Independent Americans.
Right,
These were individual
but it was legal.
Americans. This wasn't an American government decision to go out and buy slaves to come and work on an American projects.
Forget
These
that.
were independent Americans. The same way, like today, even with like the war on drugs today, like, there's a lot of drugs coming into America, but it's not being done by America, the government of America. It's being done by Americans doing stuff, whether it's legal or not. Like the same way when cigarettes were illegal, whether cigarettes are legal or not, you can't say America is doing it because it's not America doing it.
All right, so
bro, like let him make a point. You make it a false analogy.
Right. So let me get it. All right. I'm not gonna deal with the drug part because you might know you already a little bit messed up with that. So I'm gonna go back to the slavery part, right? Now, the slavery, 89 years, it was legal to own slaves. You get that? So if it's legal, right, the government actually has a hand in that. If it's legal, you get that?
No, abortion is legal now. But America doesn't go around doing abortions. It's Americans that do it. America doesn't say you got to. Abortion is legal. Abortion is legal. But the American government, listen to me.
No, I get your point. I get your point.
So let me get it out because there may be people that don't. Abortion is legal, but America doesn't sanction any abortions. The same way slavery was legal, America didn't sanction anything. The government didn't sanction it.
What are you talking about, man?
There was no abortion is legal.
This nigga talking about, man.
Listen to me. Abortion is legal. Let me say it. Abortion is legal.
What is he talking about, man?
Abortion is legal.
Like, what are you talking about?
Listen to me. Let me
what are you talking about? What point are you trying to make here? You're flim-flamming right now, bro. You're actually flim-flamming us, bro. You're flim-flamming us, bro. They fought a whole war over slavery. What are you talking about? The South fought against the North over slavery, bro. What are you talking about?
Let's deal with
that wasn't really the government fighting. The government was sitting back and letting everybody fight. Like, what are you talking about?
Let me say it. Abortion is legal. Then why are you asking me what am I talking about?
I'm saying, what are you talking about? Meaning you're mad.
Let me say
what am I talking about, but you don't want to hear it? Then stop asking me what the hell I'm talking about.
I want to ask you for real.
Hold on. We doing good.
Move on to somebody else.
Let Chef finish building this. Yeah, you made a statement. Allow him to rebut, and then you come back afterwards, bro. Like,
the United States government didn't sanction slavery. What was the war for? What was the Civil War for? Was that the government of the United States? Was the South the government? Was the North the government?
Yeah, let him make the rebuttal. Go ahead and make the rebuttal.
So the point is, I'm not gonna deal with the abortion and the drug because they like false analogies. But if you stay on the topic of slavery, you said the government wasn't doing it, right? It was you're saying that it was American citizens, right? That's not in the government.
Yes, abortion is legal. Slavery was legal.
Nigga,
the government wasn't conducting slavery.
The United States Court Justice, the Supreme fucking Court sanctions abortions, you nut. What the hell is wrong with this guy? Is not the Supreme Court part of the governmental structure, or have I just completely lost my mind?
Yeah, we know what it is.
Myself out, man.
That's where I was getting to.
Just let him get it out.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to. Because you messing up by saying that the government, is not responsible, right? I think you're trying to say that the American government is not responsible for what individual slave owners did. Ain't that your point?
Like they're not responsible for someone who conducts an abortion. The government is not responsible for that, but the government made it, but it's legal. You can't go to the government.
Government regulations, you nut.
get that.
United States government don't make vaccines, but they regulate them.
Right.
God damn.
The government said where a slave can exist at, right? It said what states could have slaves. So it actually gave it the rubber stamp. They made this shit, it was legal, right?
So if it was federal and ban it all across the board completely.
Exactly. So it was legal for people to own people. You're telling me that the government don't bear responsibility in that? Go ahead, American Dream. That was the question.
No, they don't. No.
Oh,
wow. Are you serious?
No.
Listen, United States government.
I'm out of it. Y'all
hold on. United States government.
So would you blame it? So you would blame America
Dream, hold on, man. He wasn't next, bro.
For the abortion?
No, check this out, Dream. Hold on. The United States government, they bear the burden, right, of enforcing slave laws, and they bear the burden when they fought the war to say there was no more slaves. So it was federal troops. Once the shit was banned in America, right, then the federal government went out, right, with the cavalry and made sure people was free. So you can't say that they was involved in the good of it and the bad of it, bro. Like, no one says that but you. I'm gonna say this real slow for you. When the South lost the war, when slavery was illegal in America, it was federal troops that made sure that people were free, bro, no matter what you say. Martin Luther King, when they won the civil rights cases, it was federal troops, right, that went to different voting polls and went to different places and stood at schools that said you had to integrate them. The same way they said, lock them niggas up, it's the same way they say you can't do that. So they played a role, period. Why? Because the government of the United States runs America, bro. What the hell are you talking about?
So you're using the fact that America ended slavery to show that they, I don't even know what point you're making, Unc.
No, because you know why you know my point? Because one, you don't care to hear my point. And let me say it real clear for you, a little more calmer. I'm trying to tell you that it was the federal government that enacted, agreed, or allowed the laws to happen when you had a white water fountain and a fucking black water fountain. They supported that. And then when it became illegal, right, they no longer supported having the white water fountain and the black water fountain. They no longer supported black people not being able to eat and whatever the fuck they want to eat at. They no longer supported that. They no longer supported the fact that black people couldn't vote. But when they said black people couldn't vote, they supported that. But when it became illegal, they didn't support that. Just like with slavery, they wholeheartedly supported the slave trade when it was legal. As a matter of fact, when everybody else on planet Earth said no more slavery, they continued with the breeding process.
Yep.
Because
so for how many years?
The antibiotic South. And they breeded human beings. Forced breeding, sexual selection, all this shit that crazy people in the chat room is acting like, oh, that's pseudo. It's not pseudo. If you can take horses and breed them, you can take humans and breed them. If you can take flowers and breed them, then you can take humans and breed them. What are we talking about here? We're living organisms. So I don't know what you're talking about, bro. You're making it up and you like man. You're mad with that tonight, bro. That's why your name is in the big lights, because of these moments right here. This is what you do. You do this right here. That's what I was trying to say from the beginning of the show. And they saved your ass. Now you walked off the cliff like Chef said. There's no way back. You meant everything you said right now, bro. You gotta stop that, dude. Admit when you're wrong.
Okay, let's just build, man. You hush your mouth and let's just build. But anyway, so you're saying America was involved in the slavery for 89 years, right? Now, and you're saying because the government sanctioned, because the government made it legal, then the government is responsible for it for those 89 years. So now if we go from 1865 up until 2015, how many years is that the government has had it legal, has had it illegal, right? So now you have to give the government credit for that. How many years is that? 250 years, let's say?
No.
We're smarter than that. Matter of fact, you keep acting like...
the last sentence. So slavery was... So America condoned slavery was legal for 89 years, and then it was illegal for 250 years.
That supported the slave trade
about the 250
that changed their goddamn name to America. What part don't you understand?
Slavery was not illegal for 250 years. Like, you tripping with that.
He just bugging right now.
When was slavery abolished in America, Sosa?
1860.
After the Civil War.
From 1865 till now is how many years?
No, but it continued.
107 something maybe.
Right, but the alienation.
107 something, I guess. 108 1965. 135 plus a 21, 156.
Yeah,
100. My bad. My math is horrible. You're right. 156. It's still it's 156.
Stop. Where are y'all getting this 89 years from?
Twice as much. So it was illegal for twice as long. Right, Sosa? Right, Sosa?
Hold
for
on.
twice as long.
Before you go crazy, let me explain.
Right, Savior, because everybody knows you go crazy.
You don't get lost. We only use the 89 years to make a point from when America actually became a government in 1776 up until the actual time of slavery was abolished in 1865. That's why Chuck gave you 89 years.
Okay.
Right, so it's 89 years compared to... Hold on, Phil, let me say my point.
No, please. I'm trying to get something established.
OMG, what do you think I'm trying to do? Why do you think what you're trying to establish is more important to me? Why do you think what you're trying to establish is more important to me than what I'm possibly trying to establish? Why do you think I'm just going to... Dude, let me finish my sentence. Let me finish my goddamn sentence. Don't just come in and say, stop. Who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you?
The dude you're trying to ask a question. The dude you're butting in. The dude you cannot wait to ask a question. That's who I am. I'm the guy you can't wait to ask a question. I'm the guy you can't wait to ask a question. Who the hell are you?
Hold on. Everybody freeze. American Dream, finish your point. And then, Savior, you can get in. Before you say one more word though, American Dream, on Monday, they was the fucking British. On goddamn Wednesday, they was fucking Americans. It's the same goddamn people.
Yeah, exactly. But
like, you're bananas at this point. Nobody cares about the government. It's the same people.
You're making a legal argument versus actual factual people.
Right. No one says that but you, bro.
We can deal with the legal part. He dies at the legal part even worse.
We can deal with that too. That's what I'm saying.
Listen to me. You see, when y'all come at me about the American dream, y'all are coming at America. So that's why I'm coming. That's why I have to come at it like that. Don't try to front. Y'all are coming at America. So that's why that's what I'm defending. Oh, I don't care. Like I'm right for what I do. America was not involved. This was the British government. This is the British government that was sanctioning all of this, not America. So when y'all are coming at me for having the American flag across my face,
bro, I appreciate you right now. Hold on, American Dream. Thank you for that statement right there. All I'm gonna say is, I told y'all so. Go ahead.
But it's better when it come out their mouth, though.
Yeah, okay.
It's better when it come out their mouth.
I'm not
sure. So, the reason why I asked the question about the 89 years was it seems like the whole shit from 1460 up until 1776 when America was actually, until 1619 when America was actually colonized, first settled in Jamestown and shit in 1619. It seems like all that shit was just overlooked.
No,
You
no,
know,
we
see,
ain't overlooking.
We're dealing with when America actually became not the colony. We're dealing with from July 4th, 1776.
Okay, so you're talking about when they were about to split from. Okay, so
yeah, when they got
the Revolutionary War forward.
Yeah,
The Revolutionary
when they
War
split.
forward. Okay.
independence.
Yeah, when they got their independence. So, American Dream. I would say this.
What happened, Fadio? You fell asleep again?
No, I actually worked, sir, so I had to jump off.
Hold on. So
The
let me
shit.
let me say this. The gripe that African Americans have with the United States, right, with America, is from 1776 up into 72. We lump all of that together, right? You understand that, right? We just don't cut it off with the abolition of slavery. We extend that up to the point where we got full rights, because up until 1972, all of the rights and benefits that's bequeathed to Americans wasn't extended to us. You understand that? So that's a legacy of discrimination, right, and second-class citizenship, right? So
sure, but sure,
hold on. Let me finish this. And so reparations, right, is to repair the injustice and the damage that was done from 1776 to 1972. Now, if people can't even live where they want to live, right? So they can't, they're not getting the same property value. Black people was paying taxes, right? That was paying for hospitals and schools that they couldn't even go to because the laws wouldn't even allow. You see what I'm saying? That shit held people back, and the government can't act. Go ahead.
It didn't hold you back? You're trying to tell me that held you back, Chef?
Oh my God!
You're trying to tell me that in 1965, because in 1965, the Jim Crow laws, because of Jim Crow laws today, you're held back, Chef?
Yes.
How are you held back because of Jim Crow, Chef? Tell me. How, Chef?
Hold on, Sabio.
It's generational.
It's generational, yo. If my
Right.
grandparents,
No, generational wealth, nigga.
If my grandparents didn't get a fair shake, right, then that fucked up my potential. You don't get that? If my grandparents couldn't own property in certain neighborhoods, right? If they couldn't get jobs, if they couldn't go to certain schools, right? It fucks up potential for their generations.
Okay, so you're so Chef. What you're saying is
No, we saying is you ain't next. You ain't no. This ain't no one. You're not next. You're not next. American Dream. Hold on, bro.
Are you saying, Chef? Are you saying
you're not next, bro? I'm saying don't just violence, Chef. Knock it off, yo. I'm saying you not next, bro.
All right, I'm out, y'all. Thanks for having the show on me. Peace.
I want you to listen very, very carefully.
Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Brought us from the motherland in bondage and chains. Bury our culture and change our names. They claim we're free, yet we are in pain. As long as there's life, there's a lot to gain. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. When God spoke his words, they said he was deranged. Marley sung his songs, they said the same. Malcolm X and Martin Luther fought relentlessly so we could be better. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. righteousness, they say we are praised. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praised. Brought us from the motherland in bondage and chains. Bury our culture and change our names. They claim we're free, yet we are in pain. As long as there's life, there's a lot to gain. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praised. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praised.